Hour number 2, we're underway right here on the early line. The place to be. It's the SportsGrid Network, setting the table for your SportsGrid day. All the hottest topics, all the handicaps that you need to sort that brainstorm in the morning. Get the brain kicked in. They say, Joe, you're supposed to wake up, go outside, get some sunlight. It recharges the brain. But how about this? Wake up, get your laptop out, turn on the television, go to the SportsGrid app, and get your brain waves cooking right now because the energy is here because it is week 0. There are football games on this Saturday that are live in your living room. College Football Today edition. Joe Lisi, Donnie Rightside, 10 a.m. this Saturday. Be there or be square. I got to make sure I don't run. Joe, I got to make sure I don't run energy by Saturday, by the way, though. So I do have to pace myself a little bit.
Oh, the start of football season, energy is not an issue, Donnie. You will be able to get it going here as we... I am excited. There is a lot of questions that need to be answered before we get to week 1 of the college football season, by the way. I think a lot of them will be answered early in week 0, so I'm looking very forward to it.
If I really run down by the end of the week and then it turns out like Saturday, it's just Lisi live for 2 hours on college football, the mayhem that would ensue. So I got to do the people's work out here. Stay calm. Keep the energy high, get through the week, and now's the time that we say to ourselves, yes, you're watching the show, we enjoy it, but you know what else we enjoy even more? The people reaching out to us. Here's the Fade the Public poll. Faded people love this topic. I love this topic. It doesn't have Taylor Swift in there. It doesn't have Miami Vice and Don Johnson. It doesn't do you like to play Battlefield or Call of Duty better at this point? Let's get down to the nitty gritty. If you go to @SportsGrid on our X account, a question was answered this morning, or asked to you, I should say. Should the college football playoff field expand beyond 12 teams? Yes versus no. There are a lot of dunces in this world that don't like change, so I'll chalk it up to that at times. I voted yes, which every single person should vote yes, but we have a nice extended segment to have some fun with this, Joe Raineri. I know you voted yes because you're a smart man.
I think there should have been a third choice here, Donnie. And
no escape. No escape.
I just think there should have been a third choice.
Steel cage comes down. No escape.
And that third choice should have been, or is this just a money grab? Because that would have been my vote here, Donnie. If we're considering this from the context of we're adding teams because we believe there are a bunch of teams that are being overlooked that really have a chance at winning a national championship that should be included. No, this is all about the money. The more teams, the more money. It's the same thing in March Madness. You want to keep adding to, you want 90 teams? That's great, but nobody, ranked number 80 is winning a national championship, and nobody ranked 12th out of the top 12 is going to win a national championship in football either. So, yes, by all means, go for it, as long as we're all under the same page that this is all about the money. That is all this expansion is about.
It's always about money. I do agree with that here. But when we get into the arguments where I just want to understand the psychology of why we don't want more meaningful football games. And when I heard we were expanding to 12 last year, I knew, Joe, we'd have the best college football season we've ever seen. And I believe we had that last year because you don't lose a game in September and write off your entire fan base and your team for the rest of the season because football doesn't matter. We had more meaningful games on a week-to-week basis than we ever had in the history of college football. That is a good thing. And if anybody's watched any programming on SportsGrid or anything that I put out on social media myself, the thing that angers me the most in sports are meaningless games that don't actually matter. That's why I get mad at the NBA. The NBA players will tell you, I don't give a damn about the regular season, just get me to the playoffs. That shows in the ratings, and that shows in the play. But in college football, we're at the point now where you have the transfer portal. You have the NILs coming in. Bowl season, Joe, used to be a really big deal in the 70s, 80s, and 1990s. But now what do you see here? Alabama made a bowl, 68 opt-outs. Do you remember a bowl game in a championship-level Orange Bowl where Florida State benched their entire football team because they knew it didn't matter and got rolled up by the Georgia Bulldogs? When you have teams that make a playoff, Florida State would have played all of their guys because playoffs matter and teams want to win. So if you give me 12, and understand this isn't some radical theory. Division I college football has always been the worst of the sport for decades upon decades, saying we're the only sport that has mythical national championships that don't get decided on the football field. Division I AA, as it used to be, which is FCS now, 24 plus teams. Division II, 24 plus teams. Division III goes into the 30s in the playoffs. Win the championship on the field where everybody's going to play. We don't have opt-outs in a championship round of the college football playoff. You don't make the playoffs, everybody opts out. Why? Because the game doesn't mean anything. More meaningful football, Joe, at the end of the season. That's why we're expanding. It's better for business, and it's better for the consumer, and it's better for the player.
Well, meaningful to who, though, Donnie? Because let me play devil's advocate. I'm a senior, right? And I'm not going to the NFL. I'm not going to the USFL. And here I am. I'm not competing for a world, national championship. But what? Yeah. Because the game doesn't mean anything to you, the viewer. It's going to mean something to me and my family as I get to play one more football game before I have to start paying back the student loans that I just took out in order to even be here. So, meaningful to who?
Playing as a senior in college football as a starter in a bowl game.
There's a lot of guys that are playing meaningful football in those bowl games. There's a lot of dudes that aren't part of that upper echelon that playing one more ridiculously stupid bowl game. That's the last of their football career. So why should they be penalized? Because we think, who wants to watch this? This is awful. Yes, it is from a viewing standpoint.
Put him in the playoffs.
Gets to play his last football game. No,
he can play in the playoffs and try to win a championship. Who cares? Who they beat in March Madness? My always argument, too, because I like to always flip it on its head. If it expands or not doesn't matter to me. But I love 12 teams. I think it's fantastic, and the more the merrier for me because it just means more meaningful football games. But if you out there are looking at this argument and getting mad at me, start with this. You hate March Madness. If you hate expansion in college football, you hate March Madness. Just tell me, and I will agree and say, you know what? I can't even argue with you. If you come on and say, I don't want expansion in college football, I don't even watch the tournament. Because when I grew up, there was 24 teams that made the college basketball March Madness, and that was much better. No, it's not. March Madness is fantastic. But understand this. There are 50 out of the 64 or so teams that get in now, whoever plays in the first 5, that have zero shot to compete and win a championship. So have that same energy. We're talking about if you expanded to 24, number 24 can't win. Nobody wins in college basketball except the Blue Bloods. One time in 40 years did an 8th seed win it. It was Villanova before we even had the shot clock. 40 plus years of blue blood championship caliber teams where we play. I love the pageantry and the March Madness upsets. Those teams don't win anything. And when they do win, they smash ratings in the next game because nobody wants to see Murray State. They wanted to see Kentucky, Joe.
There's only so many George Mason crazy runs to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 that you're going to get, but you're not going to build an entire tournament around that concept. And listen, there's even fewer college football teams that can actually win a national championship every year. So, it's give everyone the idea they have a shot when in reality, they don't have much of a shot.
Come on, Joe. Get over to my sideline. We'll have meaningful football. We'll watch it. We'll enjoy it. We'll drink. We'll relax, and we'll eat. Week 0 in effect here. It is a football week. It will be a football Friday this weekend. And also on Saturday, you don't have to wait too long. A 12 o'clock start for a top 25 tilt that is over in Dublin. We can't wait to get there. But before we make it there, a lot of big decisions, Joe Raineri, have to be made in the college football landscape. And we got one yesterday. Pete Thamel tweeted out, number 3, Ohio State has named redshirt freshman Julian Sayin the starting quarterback per Coach Ryan Day. He'll make his first career start against number 1 Texas on August 30th. Sayin is a former top 10 overall recruit who transferred to Ohio State from Alabama. Starters in the building. It is Julian Sayin getting the nod for the Bucks.
Yeah, and I mean, he was the supposed front runner backing up Will Howard a year ago. The kid was what, a 5-star, I believe, 5-star recruit coming out of high school. So they had always anticipated that at some point he would be the next guy. But all right, well, he is the next guy now. But it took this long to figure out that he was the next guy, Ryan Day. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I think we're going to learn rather quickly in week 0 if, in fact, Julian Sayin is the guy that, forget about national championships. You're not getting back-to-back national championships, right, Donnie? The question is, can you beat Michigan, Julian? Because that is what's going to determine your future at the shoe. You either beat Michigan because you haven't the last 4 tries. That is what's going to matter, and that is what's going to determine if he is the future of Ohio State football.
Yeah, there's something to be said about what Joe Raineri is talking about because, sometimes you like to head into the offseason and anoint a starter. Now, they are kids and you want them to work hard. I understand that. But there has to be a clear lead dog that says, all right, you're the starter. You separate yourself. You're the starter in game number 1. And I think Ryan Day actually came out this past week and was like, yeah, he played good in practice this week, so we gave him the nod. Does that really mean like either you have the best quarterback room in the history of college football or you're worried about starters and be like, man, somebody better just show me something in the final week? Oh, it was Julian Sayin. Now, granted, these aren't walk-ons that just came out of a small high school in Iowa that played 8-man football. Like, this kid was a top recruit, and big things are expected of him. But I always get a kick out of it. This might have been a decade ago. There was a game I want to say off the top of my head. It was Ohio State and maybe Virginia Tech who opened the season. And Urban Meyer was still the coach for Ohio State. And he didn't tell anybody his quarterback, didn't tell the team itself until they got to game day. And after kickoff, had the 2 starting quarterbacks lined up and tapped one on the shoulder pad, and they ran out for the first series of the year. Now, I don't advocate that, but I am a little bit worried about Ohio State. That is a massive game to open up. And you told us you didn't have a quarterback that was clear-cut from spring practice to be your starter? That's kind of odd to me.
It very much is. I mean, and it was a good competition. I mean, they have legit choices. It's Ohio State. You're always going to have options. But the fact that it took you this long to figure it out means that you've got 3 studs at quarterback here, or that maybe if you got 3, Donnie, you don't have 1, which, again, we're going to find out rather early this season. In fact, in less than a couple of weeks here in the shoe, in fact, when Texas comes to town.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Yep. Everybody will enjoy it. But there are some pundits out there like, hey, you know what? It might be the biggest game of the year, but I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it because I don't know if it means anything. Are you kidding me at this point? Like, let's get off this tangent for a second. I'm going to hit the college football odds in a moment. But the fact that college football is giving you this game this early in the season, and some people saying, I don't know if it means as much because in the past, what was better, Joe, in the past, apparently? 15-14 game, Ohio State wins. You go, tap! Texas is done for the year. They can't win a national championship. Yeah. That was obviously better than what we're going to get now. Stop the madness.
Yeah, no, stop the madness is correct here. Listen, this is not going to be the end-all, be-all for either of these teams. A lot of teams, in fact, in week 0, you can't win you can't lose a national championship in week 0, and you know what, Donnie? You can't win it in week 0 either. So you'll learn a little something about your players. We'll learn a little something about these teams. But ultimately, it's not what they do here at the end of August. It's what are they going to be doing in October and November that matters the most.
Yeah, price points moving around all the time for these odds here. Texas at a plus 550 to win it all, and then a bunch of teams stacked up at plus 650 or so. Georgia, Ohio State, and Penn State. So there you go. 2 of the top 3 teams in the odds market right now, Joe, Texas and Ohio State. But some people don't like that game. Stop it.
Yeah, I don't know why you don't like that. There's a lot of games that we should be very interested to see how they come out here over the next couple of weeks.